Since the recession began in 2008, the library service has not fared well. Due to the staffing embargo, vacancies have not been filled. Library management face pressures every day of every week in trying to keep libraries open at a time when people need them more than ever, and book funds have been severely cut. On Dún Laoghaire, the Library Council has been abolished. It had been in existence for 65 years, longer than the Arts Council. At a time when the government was going to abolish whatever 40 or 50 quangos, some people took to calling on Dún Laoghaire a quango, even though it had been in existence long before the term quango was invented. With the abolition of Dún Laoghaire, I think we should be concerned about a possible democratic deficit arising in relation to library planning. Dún Laoghaire met 10 times each year, and it had 4 public representatives attend all of those meetings. Dún Laoghaire has now been replaced by a libraries development unit within the newly formed local government management agency, and this committee contains no public representatives. I think we have to ask, where are Lady Gregory's 10 or 12 men or women not much interested in literature, but in a common effort to help a good cause? I was a member of Dún Laoghaire for a number of years, and I always felt that the elected members brought a point of view and an awareness about local issues to the various deliberations. Without the contribution of these members, decisions will be taken by technical and professional people alone, and the voice of local people in relation to social and community matters, as articulated by elected members, will be absent. We must not forget that the public library is very much a community service and requires this democratic input. Now, I know that a library advisory forum has been set up, but it contains only 2 elected representatives. We meet, I think, just twice a year, and it does not have the powers of Dún Laoghaire. At the 1925 meeting of the Galway Library Committee, Lady Gregory referred to the role of the library service in acquiring books which were costly and difficult to obtain. And I think here especially of a recently published book, Capital in the 21st Century by Thomas Piketty. Written in plain spoken prose, this is regarded as a watershed book that reviewers say will change both the way we think about society and the way we do economics. It has been said that the book is essential reading for citizens of the here and now. We should marvel at how plain language, a reviewer has said, we should marvel at how plain language can be put to work explaining the most complex of ideas, foremost among them the fact that economic inequality is at an all-time high and is only bound to grow worse. The book is not cheap. It sells at €39. If we are concerned about education and democracy, then we should be concerned about making sure that as many people have the opportunity to read this book as possible. Only about 70 copies of this essential book have been purchased by Irish public libraries, or in other words, 3 out of 4 of every branch library do not have a copy. From checking online catalogues, it seems that some county library services do not even have 1 copy, but there are copies in the Galway Library Service, I'm glad to discover, and I'm sure there would be. Phil Scanlon, a dedicated, committed and enthusiastic librarian who manages the Bali Ban Public Library, wrote an article a few years ago in which she said that the essential role of the library is to subvert the status quo, and that the library should seek to ensure that the intellectual environment does not represent the results of the latest popularity contest. If libraries do not have sufficient funds to purchase important and groundbreaking books, such as Thomas Piketty's book, then it will be unable to carry out its mission of challenging the status quo. As Phil Scanlon says, independence is a prerequisite. The public library can afford only one loyalty, that is loyalty to freedom of thought and expression. It owes its existence to the value we place on preserving ideas and facilitating their unhampered movements. But libraries need adequate book funds in order to be able to do that. To continue this theme and to give an example of a book which is in stock in Irish libraries and in other places than the ones I'm going to mention now. But if you walk down the street this very afternoon in, say, Kilorglin, Killinall in County Tipperary, Guidor, Carndonagh, Ballahadreen, Ballyburra, Burr, Dungarvan. This is just a random selection. If you walk down the street in any of those towns, you can walk into the local branch library and you will find a copy of Beckett's Waiting for Godot on the shelves. As you know, Waiting for Godot has two characters who wait endlessly and in vain for the arrival of someone called Godot. The drama is sometimes interpreted as a sombre summation of mankind's inexhaustible search for meaning. And there in those libraries in Killinall, Guidor and Balladreen and in other branch libraries are copies of Waiting for Godot on the shelves as some sort of silent and enduring affirmation of the cultural role of the library. As the poet and librarian Archibald MacLeish put it, a sort of mystery occurs when the cultural knowledge of society is brought together in this way and made freely available to the public. And don't let anyone try to tell me that you can download those books onto your phone or onto your iPad or whatever. Numerous studies show that when you read a text on paper, your understanding of it is deeper and longer lasting than if you read the same text on a computer screen. A University of Stavanger study, Stavanger in Norway, this summer report shows that if you read a text on screen, you will not have comprehended the text as deeply or assimilated it as substantially as with a text on paper. And something else on this theme. Maybe 2 or 3 years before I retired, I was in the Athenry Library. And I saw a copy of, this particular copy as it turns out, a copy of John Steinbeck's The Winter of Our Discontents being returned at the desk. This book was published by Heinemann in 1961, printed with a lovely typeface on good paper by the Windmill Press in Surrey in England. Galway County Council purchased this book in March 1972. Although there were probably previous date labels, and this is pre-computer times, although there were previous date labels on the book which would have indicated the book being loaned throughout the years 72 and 73, it is possible from these date labels, still located inside the front cover, showing the book being borrowed in 1974. And then there is evidence from this date label of the book being borrowed right down the years to the present fresh date stamp showing the book due for return sometime in 2010. Galway County Council paid $150 for this book when it purchased it 34 years ago. The Winter of Our Discontent is a novel which indicts society for its focus on materialism and an individual's disregard for the family of man. Steinbeck was a man who wrote from the depths of his heart. His most enduring themes were the mystery of identity, the inexplicability of love, and the murderous consequences of love's absence. The book, as you can see, is dog-eared. Some of the pages are torn. There are stains here and there. Some of the binding has been sealed with tape, but anyone picking it up will get a sense that they are sharing an experience with all the other readers who have taken this book from the library before them. Holding the book in one's hands, there was a sense of thought and of philosophy and of thinking and of reflection and of questioning. The book is about loss and the attempts to regain some sort of equilibrium in life. In some ways, the ups and downs of all the people who read the book and the book itself seem inextricably linked. And there is also a sense of community. This is the community's copy, and there is a sense that the book, like the community, has survived many tribulations and joys over the past 34 years. When the South African writer John Maxwell Coetzee won the Nobel Prize for Literature 2 years ago, he went to Stockholm to receive the award, where it is traditional for the winner to make a speech. And Coetzee puzzled his audience by speaking about Robinson Crusoe. But what Coetzee wanted to do was to equate all human adventure with the destiny of Robinson alone on his islands. Yes, there are many poor Robinsons enduring shipwreck, hunger, loneliness and near death, and everyone comes to find communication a problem and ends yelling and gesticulating like a madman with no one listening. And we can think of the many people living in the various housing estates around our libraries, or people living in houses alone in rural areas. Many are enduring loneliness, even in a certain way, some are enduring shipwreck. What are they calling these afflicted men and women across the water, across the years, out of their private fire, as Coetzee put it? Well, I believe that our libraries might have what they are calling for, be it the example of Robinson Crusoe or this book by Steinbeck. Be sure that our libraries and our books and the reading experience we provide enable people to cope with some of the shipwreck moments which we all experience from time to time. And think of the education and enlightenment provided for an investment of $150 back in 1972. Just to conclude with two items. Manuel Rivas, a writer from Galicia, who read this theatre in court a few years ago, spoke later at the Madrid book fair, and he said, "Nowadays it is difficult to find a place where there is a greater diversity, a greater mix of people of different generations, people of different social classes, gender, people of different origins, ideologies, beliefs or aesthetics. It is difficult to find a place other than in a public library where all of these people can so easily be together." And one final item. Bali Ban Library, 4:15 p.m. Wednesday the 16th of May 2007. A young girl is running into the library. She is running into the library and shouting back, "Are you coming, Dad?" In the hallway she says, "Look, Dad, a toy library," pointing to the colourful sign for the toy library on the library notice boards. It is a wet and a grey day in Bali Ban, but the young girl is full of joy, and with her exuberance and innocence, she is imparting this joy to her father and to the two other people who are on their way into the library. Inside the library, she works furiously with a set of crayons and colouring paper. Her father browses the section of books which deal with men's health. Thank you very much.